Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm just doing a quick emergency video about certain subjects that are verboten and are getting me into a lot of trouble on Facebook and elsewhere. So I just wanted to do this video. And I'm going to probably title it, "It's Not My Fault, It's Not My Problem That You All Turned Into Bootlickers and were placated by following mainstream media narratives for the last 5+ years now." So I've talked a lot about this on this channel. I'm just going to put it this way. So there's people like Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald, Aaron Mate, Jimmy Dore, these people that are being tarred and feathered over their current opinions about various matters. Max Blumenthal, of course, too. Some of them lean towards a little bit more of the socialist, far left thing that I do. I'm more anarchistic and libertarian in some of my beliefs. I believe in the northern European models of things, which is reformist according to a lot of people. So I'm probably not one to talk too much about that, but the thing is this narrative that people like Matt Taibbi or someone is being canceled for their current articles and all this stuff is kind of like you're on this train and there's these people that are I don't know if that's a good metaphor. I'm trying to think of a good metaphor. Sure. So these people are stuck in, there's a tree, right? There's a tree that's in place while the illusion, there's like this visual illusion that other things are changing around you, when it's like looking through looking through a fence or something. It's like, it looks like it's moving, it's just different. I'm trying to think of a good metaphor or analogy for this, but it's like people have not changed their opinions or their analysis of certain things or skepticism about certain things. Yet all around them, everybody's changing. And then they look back on these other people and like, you've changed. And really, at the end of the day, many of these people did not change. Now, in the case of like someone like Glenn Greenwald going to a Rumble and Peter Thiel's involvement in that's a little, I'm skeptical of these types of things, I'm skeptical. I think he should be called into question. People should all be questioned. Everyone should be questioned. But when people look back and say, "Oh, Michael Tracy's he has a new right-wing audience because he doesn't agree with all the narratives being pushed by the Democratic Party," it's like, are you stupid or dense? And I'm seeing that happen to me too. It's like, it's not my fault. If people look at me as some type of turncoat that's gone right wing or something, that they're not looking at the right. They're not looking at the right thing. They're not looking at the correct narratives that I'm trying to push here. So I am not a right winger. I am not a Republican. I have kind of veered back and forth with a certain type of mainstream American libertarian edge to a lot of my stuff, a lot of my beliefs, back and forth for probably 15+ years. And the fact of the matter is, I've never been, a right-wing person. I don't believe in, I think, I believe to some extent of unconscious bias and stuff like that, which is, anathema to many right-wingers. Like, oh, there's no such thing as unconscious bias. At the same time, I think like there's legitimate criticism about critical race theory or Robin DiAngelo's work, for example, too. So I wouldn't really call myself, I'm not part of this tribe. You're part of this tribe, but then the other people around you change. They go this certain direction, and then you're left with the same unmovable values that you've had all your life, that you've always questioned authority, that you've always questioned narratives of corporations or governments. But now because of this crisis, you can't question that. Because of this crisis, 9/11, the virus, oh my God, you're either with us or you're with the virus. Wait a second, it's like, you can't, it's just like this insanity, this And these, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that people have turned into corporate, big tech, big pharma bootlickers through the years. You look back on the anti-WTO protests, back or protests against the WTO in the late 90s, early 2000s. You look at all that stuff. That's the left that I still identify myself with. Questioning these huge government bodies, that international globalization, whatever, same thing, different political wing, same idea, the same thing. It's the same thing, as I've said in my previous video. But yeah, I've been criticized. Recently, a friend of mine on Facebook called me, said I was wearing a tinfoil hat and all this stuff, talking about this, some of these things. And it's just like, if you knew about the amount of research that I do every day about all this stuff, and maybe I do, everybody has their cognitive blinders and, oh, well, yeah, I only listen to this and only watch that. I watch a lot of different stuff and read a lot of different stuff. And to have this preset cognitive direction, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I believe a lot of this stuff is leading to something really bad, and that I do not want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of this endless cycle, just like the war on terror, just like, with the endless terror alerts, a new variant. What's the difference? Of course, of course, there's real people involved with these variants. And there's always going to be people suffering from from this whole thing, as it's endemic and it's not going to go away. And these people would be better off, if they were more consistent about going after the reasons why these big pharma companies won't waive patent protections for the third world, where these variants are coming from, not from the MAGA hat wearing anti-vaxxer, whatever, necessarily. Hopefully this will pass muster. But I'm just really pissed. I don't, people think that I'm gone right wing, or people might think that I'm a lapsed leftist at the church of whatever. It's not true. I voted for Bernie Sanders twice. I don't like some of the woke direction of things, because I think it's fake, and I think it's pandering, and I think a lot of it's a distraction. Oh, these corporations getting all this huge power, right? And they draw upon these identity politics. Oh, ignore the elephant in the room about the economic disparities, about these other things that people should be, pissed off about. But just focus on, just like the woke CIA thing a couple months ago, or the woke military. It's like those two things should not go hand in hand, as anybody that's on the left has been against the military industrial complex, against woke these corporations that are now trying to go woke and stuff. It's a fraud. It's a facade to pander and also muddy the waters with these ideas. It's a distraction, just like Russiagate. And Trump may have been put in there. In some ways, I think he was just put in there to be like this lightning rod to distract from the increasing corporate power that Trump and Biden have given the corporations, and all that, those types of things, and placated those things. I mean, and maybe people might say, "Oh, you're against Trump? What's wrong with you?" It's like, well, yeah, I agree with someone like Anomaly, and his debate with Six Texan Hammer. Trump was just part of that system, and it's not like. And maybe people, that might be controversial to some of my audience. That's fine. I don't like Trump. I don't like Biden. I mean, Trump at least made me laugh a lot of the time. But yeah, I don't like this direction that the left is going in. The left, and someone on Facebook corrected me by calling someone establishment left. He's like, they're establishment center right. Sure, okay, I'll agree with you on that, because you're right. From the historical worldwide perspective, these actors, in this situation, are definitely center right establishment, not left by a traditional definition. But yeah, it's disappointing to be subjugated to these ideas that people don't really think things through. When they believe that I'm gone right wing, or conspiracy theory or something, tinfoil hat or whatever. It's like, well, it's not my fault that you're a bootlicker. It's not my fault that a lot of people sold out, people that were radicals in the 60s and 70s, and all of a sudden say, I love the job Biden's doing. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that you fucking sold out. It's not my fault that you think all of a sudden I'm a radical, crazy person on the right because I question a lot of what the mainstream left is talking about. That's not my fault. It's not my fault that I've stuck in place. I've stood ground in place. The same unmovable belief in liberty, belief in the pursuit of happiness, belief in against corruption, while you have, because of the name of whatever, a virus or Trump, or believed in censorship, started to believe in censorship, started to believe in, authoritarian, autocratic ideas of locking people up, of forcing people to do something they don't want to do. That's not my fucking fault. That's your fault. So you can lick the boot. One day they'll go after you. What is that quote about? First they came for the communists, then they came for that, then they came for me or whatever. They came for all these people. You'll be on the short end of their stick too if you don't resist. If you continue to comply with all this. That's my belief. I've gone all over the place saying like for example with this current crisis. I believe testing. The whole like free testing thing, having tests everywhere. I don't see a problem in that, democratizing that element of it, like Michael Mina was talking about all last year. I believe in that kind of thing. I believe in giving people a choice of doing that. I do not believe in these mandates and all that stuff, and that's fine. Maybe I'm a murderous psychopath, I guess now, right? Even though putting someone that didn't have a certain medical procedure in a concentration camp 2.5 years ago, that wasn't not wanting to do that, it was not a controversial position, but I guess now it is. I guess we should just have that Australian app for everybody to be tracked everywhere with their face, or have to sign into some app to go into other apps online and have everything registered for your social media like they're trying to do in Australia and all this stuff. Fine. Okay. If you believe in that, if you believe that centralization of power, if you believe in that type of corporate, technocratic, big tech nexus of power, like Russell Brand talks about, like Russell Brand is, left as a cunt, and if you believe what he's going against, that's fine. I don't really consider you part of the left from a traditional definition, because these people are beyond rich. The billionaires, the technocratic class is beyond rich. They're billionaires, millionaires. That's why you have this thing. See, I think the Republicans are like these traditional like millionaires and some billionaires, and then you have these big tech billionaires. It's like they're more Democrat, and the Republicans are more like this old school evil capitalist, and the new school evil capitalist is the Democrats, are the Democrats. So you have these two choices. What am I going to pick? Like, am I going to pick the old one? The Republicans that pollute the earth and believe that women should be barefoot in the kitchen or whatever, or whatever stereotype you have, or abort, you can't abort a baby after a day or whatever. You can't, or you don't have the right to choose what to do with your body in that way, or in your bedroom. Or should I believe in these people that believe you should be all part of this weird system they're trying to develop? It's a hard choice, I guess. Maybe, the old capitalists in corrupt systems, and they're both part, they're nexus of each other anyway. So, that's why I'm proud to this day to have voted for Jill Stein. Jill Stein in 2016. I don't give a fuck. I'll make no apologies. I love her hippie music and her bongo playing and all her crazy stuff. Dr. Jill Stein, musician, Renaissance person, great person, seems like a great person. But yeah, fuck you, If you think I've sold out my values because I keep my values, because I keep believing in human liberty, because I keep going against authoritarianism when I see it, when I see propaganda that's blind, when I'm not blind to propaganda, when I could see transparent propaganda. I did the thing against that frontline doctors thing. I did a video. It got pretty ratioed last year because there was a lot of just grifting bullshit in that. But at the same time, I'm seeing propaganda all the time. You know, well, there's going to come a day when maybe there will come a day when they come after you, and you won't be laughing at me or calling me a tinfoil hat person or a sellout Republican. You know, if you won't be saying that, fucking stand up. This is the first time in my life that I've stood up for anything. You know, it's like, really, you know, in this situation, you know, I used to have a regime change starts at home bumper sticker that I put on my guitar case back in the day. I think it still is on one of my guitar cases. You know, I used to have, you know, fuck news or faux news or whatever button. I used to have all sorts of anti-Bush stuff. I went to the Iraq, you know, the Iraq War protests back in the day, you know, the second Iraq War. I went to both Iraq War protests now that I think about it, because in middle school we walked out. But I saw on CNN that Saddam's a bad person, so I changed my mind about it because I believe propaganda. Well, fuck you. You know, if you want to believe propaganda, that's fine. That's not my problem. I was having a lot of discussions with a relative. You know, he's like, who's skeptical about some of these current things that are going on, and he's like, well, you know, maybe I'm not like on your extreme end of things, but I have all these questions that are unanswered, you know. And I'm like, well, it's one thing if you can't get through a door, you can't just push your hand through this transparent door. Sometimes you just want to punch your way through, and that's kind of how I see this. It's like, well, I'm adapting this extreme sort of persona to bust my way through to the truth. Maybe that's controversial, you know, wearing certain types of shirts that I've made, or certain types of shirts that I've bought, you know, about certain Italian health professional figures that are, you know, controversial, that aligns me with the right wing because they don't like him. Well, yeah, that's fine. Who's really on the side of liberty this time around? Who's on the side of questioning this narrative? That's the Republicans. Last time it was the Democrats. Last time it was the left, the 9/11, War on Terror, Patriot Act. This time it's the Republicans that are questioning these things. So I'm going to align with them. Everything else, it's pungent and stupid a lot of the time with regards to them. But I'm gonna side with them in some ways about this. At least questioning these things, questioning these ideas, questioning the direction that we're going in. Why can't we fucking question things? You know, and I think that's fine. More and more people on the left are questioning things, you know. I mean, whether it be Russell Brand or Max Blumenthal or Caitlin Johnstone or Rose McGowan, which I don't really like her Larry Elder support, but that's neither here nor there. Or, you know, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, all these people. You know, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of journalists. Even The Intercept gets attacked by a lot of people on the left. Then maybe they are a little compromised. You know, even they're running some great coverage lately about certain big companies and certain laboratories in China as well. They're running some stuff. Yeah, Glenn Greenwald quit because they wouldn't print the article that he had about our president's son, but they're still doing some quality work. I don't hate Ryan Grimm either. I mean, I think he might be wrong about some things. Jimmy Dore's against Ryan Grimm. I still like Kolinsky. I still like Ryan Grimm to some extent. I don't think they might be flawed. Everybody's flawed. Jimmy Dore is flawed. But, you know, this whole thing. But anyways, back to my whole point. I've been consistent. In my opinion, it's not an egotist thing. I'm just saying I've been consistent. I might be wrong about all this stuff. I might be just nuts. I might be tinfoil hat. Might be wearing a tinfoil hat. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe 2 years from now, we're just going to we'll be back to normal, right? This is just temporary. Just like the Patriot Act, right? Just like the Patriot Act. Just like taking your shoes off at an airport. And those are, you know, taking your shoes off at an airport is a minor shuffle compared to putting people in camps, or compared to putting, you know, just subjugating a whole society to something that we don't know what's going to happen with, right? And just like having to be on some kind of digital, you know, ecosystem of, you know, control. Yeah. And so, yeah, I could be proven wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Show me I'm wrong. This is one thing in my life a battle that I hope I'm wrong about. That's about all.